And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to dead that internal belief that your worth equates to being productive or being busy or being there for others. No, you can just exist, my dear. You can just exist. Now, that doesn't mean bed rot. Hey, I'm Taylor-Alexis, and this is a safe place to talk dangerously about life in your 30s. Now, if you're new, welcome. If not, thanks for coming on back. We always appreciate returning folks, okay? Because we got to grow with the family. All right, so today we are talking about being selfish. Sometimes you just have to do it. You got to put yourself before others. Otherwise, how are you going to survive? Let's talk. Now, there's two kinds of selfishness, right? There's selfishness where it's like you really don't care about anybody else, no consideration about others, what they want and need. It's just about your own personal gain. We have the other side where you're just prioritizing your needs and articulating them, right? It's one of those things of like putting on your oxygen mask first before you help others so that, you're not dying while you're helping people, right? Never putting yourself first is such a bad habit. Oof, oof, oof. Ladies, you gotta do it. You have to put yourself first sometimes. It doesn't mean all the time, but sometimes. And when you get into the habit of not putting yourself first and you're putting everyone before you and you're running yourself ragged and tired, it's gonna lead to resentment. I can't speak for everybody else, but sometimes, you can pile on all this crap that you have to do for people, and then one day you'll explode because it's like, whoa, I didn't put myself first. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. But yeah, let's dive a little bit into why being selfish can make you happier. I do believe that society looks at selfishness differently when it comes to men and women. I know I hate to be like the black and white person, but sometimes it is what it is. There's nuance, of course, but I think as women, we're expected by society to be nurturing. If we even tap into like religion, there's so many examples of like women having to just put everybody first in an attitude of servitude, which is great, but I think balance. It's often seen as like unladylike or difficult if you're selfish. If you're like, no, I don't want to do that, I'm okay with that, right? Or like a diva, if you will. I'm speaking as a woman, but sometimes we feel guilty for putting ourselves first. Like, oh man, maybe I could have helped out with this person, that person. And it's like, I joked on another video how like, men will always put themselves first. So we need to be a little bit more like men, okay? Not too many salty people, thank God, but I stand firm on that. So on the flip side, with men, they're often encouraged to be assertive, right? To pursue those goals. And that's seen as having high ambition and high drive and a go-getter, provider, protector, blah, 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 that thing. And, they may experience less social guilt, right, when it comes to being selfish. But at the same time, they don't always have the support of asking for help. It's being seen as being weak, or it's going against masculinity to ask for help, or even to be vulnerable, And I feel for men with that. But I mean, listen, it's give and take with everything. I would say it's more accepted for men to be selfish. I mean, if you even think about like the working dad, right? Like he's not there all the time. And it's not in a way, I don't want to frame it in the sense of that a working dad is selfish, but I'm just saying like it's expected that the man maybe might not be home all the time with the kids because he's out working so that he could provide for the wife and family and etc. So that's more accepted than like, a woman that has like all these businesses and careers and things like that. And we're slowly getting to that point. We are, I think. But the woman is looked at as selfish, whereas the man is looked at as ambitious. That's another topic for another day. And I don't want to get into gender wars on this channel. Gosh, I'll joke about stuff, but look, we need each other more than we are led to believe, online at least. Of course, it's better mental health, physical health, emotional health. You can't help others if you are not good yourself, right? And that's okay. There was a national survey that went around in 2021 about self-care, and 64% said that it enhanced their confidence, right, to do other things, and it spilled over into other aspects of their life. 67% said that it increased productivity, and then 71% said that they were happier. Now, that doesn't tell you something. Okay. But, overall, prioritizing yourself, holding on to self-care, setting boundaries and stuff like that will all help to reduce stress, because we as women can really run ourselves ragged by trying to do everything and be everywhere. Girl, we cannot. Raise your hand if you could do back-to-back turnips on the weekend in your 30s. Right. Look, girl, you have to understand that you're only going to get one day. And it might be Saturday, it might be Friday night, so I can have a day of recovery, because when Sunday comes to do it again, like, gone are the days of another club buzz. I mean, maybe on vacation, that's a different vibe. But I mean, like, everyday life when you have different things going on and stuff. But, leave time for passion projects and stuff like that. That's also within self-care, especially as a creative. Like, you feel so alive when you have something that you're working on and that you're really and truly passionate about. And if you are putting everyone else or everything else before that, you might forget about the things that you have to work on. Reminder. Of course, with anything, but especially with being selfish with your time and focusing on self-care, there's a level of guilt and judgment that you might feel or experience from others. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to dead that internal belief that your worth equates to being productive or being busy or being there for others. No, you can just exist, my dear. You can just exist. Now, that doesn't mean bed rot, but you know what I'm saying. You can definitely just exist. You don't have to feel guilty for not sacrificing something this week. It's okay. The judgment that you get for others, right? And handling criticism. Here's my thing. There's a clip from Kerry Washington that's going around where she's like, I don't really care for the criticism that I get from people who I don't admire or respect.
I'm open to feedback. I think it's important to have your ear open to criticism, but I try to only give real power to people who are in the game, right? Like, I don't really take criticism to heart from people who I don't admire and respect.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. You said you can't even get in the club. You ain't from outside.
It's like I'm not gonna. I have to like you and like how you're living and what you're doing and what you're creating to feel like you have a say on what I do.
And I'm like, yeah, that seems like simple math. Like, that checks out.
I think you have to stay aware. I think anytime you just dismiss human beings, that's not healthy, because everybody matters. Everybody's a child of God. People's voices matter. People count. But you just have to, for me, as I'm weighing input, I have to make sure that I don't give my power away.
Mm-hmm. If you're worried about someone criticizing you for doing something different, or, just starting a project or something like that, just remember that people that are doing are not worried about that. It's the folks that aren't usually the ones that are criticizing. Someone who's working out themselves is not going to criticize you for getting in shape. Someone who is working on a business is not going to criticize you for starting one. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of thing. So take criticism with a grain of salt. If it's constructive criticism, even, maybe 2 grains of salt. But actually, well, it depends on who it's coming from. Let that stuff slide. You have other things to worry about, okay? You don't have to worry about criticism for putting yourself first. It is what it is. And listen, if it makes you the bad guy, so be it. I'll be Cruella. It's fine. It is okay. But guess what? I'm not going to be sitting here and burning myself out or running myself ragged trying to do everything for other people. No. That's not even part of your feminine energy. Look, maybe you have to tell yourself that I'm not a bad person because I don't want to do anything for someone else right now. Why do you think the Do Not Disturb feature is available on Apple? It's not just to mitigate notifications. Okay, so let's wrap. All in all, I think it's about finding a balance, right? I don't know if we'll ever be completely balanced in life, but we're always finding it, right? It's a journey. Life is a journey. So don't OD, right? Take time for self, but don't, not show up for others when they really need you. Come on. Unless, you might be going through it too, but you could communicate that, right? So there's always a way that you can navigate some of this stuff, right? Use your words. We're adults in our 30s. I'd say make sure you're encouraging a give and take dynamic with people that everybody or all parties feel valued and communicated with, right? Communication is key. I don't know, everybody loves to be, communication is key until it's time to communicate. Communicate. Because how else will we feel connected? Just keep in mind, like, flexibility is important as well. Like, I think you have to use your discernment and your judgment to know when it's time to be super selfish, when it's time to not be super selfish, right? Like, you have to figure out what works best for you. But let me know, when was the last time you prioritized your needs, and how did that go for you? How did it make you feel? Let me know in the comments. All right, this was short and sweet. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Taylor-Alexis, and this is a safe place to talk dangerously about life in your 30s. Now, if this is your jam and you liked anything here today, it resonated, you too feel like, you know what, I don't have to put everybody before me, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you here next week, okay? All right, take care of yourselves. Bye.